Good evening, good evening, good evening. Happy Wednesday, or what I like to call it, happy hump day. We made it to the middle of the week, and I want to welcome you to the 92Q Jams Baltimore Business and Focus Spotlight Series Facebook Live. I know that was a mouthful. But I'm Chey Parker. If you don't know me, I am the newest host of the AM Click, the morning show on 92Q Jams in Baltimore. And we're live every single weekday from 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. So make sure that you check it out, get some laughs in before you go into work, or maybe even go into your business to grow it and to expand it, and to provide all of the wonderful and great things that you may provide to your customers. Now, if this is the first time that you've joined us for the Business and Focus Spotlight Series, I want to catch you up just a little bit. This is an initiative from Urban One Baltimore, and we've partnered with Fulton Bank on this. Shout out to them being our sponsors. Now, this is a monthly spotlight that is all about shining a bright light on prominent Black business people in the Baltimore area. A lot of them, were born and raised in the Baltimore area. They are providing services and products and items to all of the community across the Baltimore area and in Maryland. And we really want to just help push their businesses forward, because when we do that, that inevitably pushes the community forward as well. So we are really just putting power and a voice behind the Black dollar. We say it all the time. There's power in the Black dollar. There's power in the Black dollar. But a lot of times it can be difficult or a little tricky to know how you can spin that Black dollar, or how you can grow it. And so this feature, this Business and Focus Spotlight Series, puts a spotlight on some great residents. It introduces our community to notable Black Americans in business right here in the area, and of course inspires up and coming residents to thrive as business professionals as well. Now, Fulton Bank, again, is our partner and our sponsor on this program, and they really strive to go beyond expectations to change lives for the better, whether it's helping people get right financially or providing businesses with resources and tools that they need to grow their business. Fulton Bank can provide that support, and they truly believe that pouring into the community is a part of doing good business. So, with that being said, hopefully you have a better understanding or a more clear view of what our vision is with the Business and Focus Spotlight Series at 92Q Jams in Baltimore and with Fulton Bank. Today we are featuring a really special business and a special guest. It's Tailor Made Transportation Services Incorporated. And for today's spotlight, we have the president and CEO himself, Alan R. Taylor. How are you, Alan?
I'm well. Thanks, Chey. Thanks for inviting us. We really appreciate you having us on today.
Yes, absolutely. And I got to just brag on Alan just a little bit, because, again, I mentioned that a lot of the business owners and business executives that we have on this Spotlight series were born and raised in Baltimore, as you were. Yeah. So shout out to that. Now, what part?
I'm West Baltimore, Poplar Grove and Lafayette Avenue.
Okay, West Baltimore, and graduated from the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, where you were actually later inducted into the Hall of Excellence for Business, and you then later went on to acquire your master's at the illustrious Morgan State University. So shout out to Bears. Absolutely. Now, Alan, again, you're the president and CEO of Tailor Made Transportation Services. And before we really hop into, your business and what you do in that realm and what it means to the Baltimore community, what would you tell someone who has no idea what Tailor Made Transportation Services is all about? What is it?
We cater to your specific transportation needs. You tried the rest, you found the best, and we won't let you down.
Wow, I like that. Now, a good tagline, anytime it rhymes, It's a good tagline. You can remember it for sure.
Yes,
But
yes.
you've been in business for quite a while now, so you are not new to this game at all. Tell our Facebook audience just a little bit about how you got started and how you established tailor-made transportation services.
I appreciate it. Thanks again for having us on. We got started. Well, I got started in 1996 after achieving my master's degree in transportation logistics management. At the time, I was just basically looking for a career in corporate America. No one would hire me. So at that point, I decided to create my own corporate America and said no one would stagnate me. I looked and found the niche at the time. The niche was that private school kids' parents did not want their kids to catch the bus with public school kids in MTA living out in Baltimore County. So what I did was I started out with one vehicle, which was crazy at the time. I started out with one vehicle, 15 passenger van, started doing it. And my goal was to provide on-time service. And what that meant for me was if I picked you up at 7:30, it'd be 7:30 every day. And when it was time for your kid to get off, they would be home at 3:30 every day. Now you could set your clock to that. Only thing what happens sometimes we would have a little traffic and it may be 2 or 3 minutes off. That grew so fast they had to start having to have subcontractors come in to help me out. At that point in the city, I decided to go for the MBE programs. But the MBE programs were okay. But the best program out there was the federal 8A program. Once I got into the 8A program, I took off like a rocket. I really did. It gave me the opportunity to say that I could do what I said I can do. So instead of saying, okay, we're going to let you sub, no, you said that you can handle this, do this. And when I did it, my thing was to make sure that I set a pace and set the standard that anyone come behind me could be able to achieve. But my thing was I wasn't going to let them say we gave TaylorMade a chance and they messed this whole thing up. So that was that. I could not allow that to happen for me.
Yeah. Now, I definitely want to ask you a little bit more about, the programs that, you took advantage of that you just mentioned. But before we hop into that, you talk a little bit about, graduating from school, planning to go into corporate America and that not really working out. No one was hiring you. And I know maybe a lot of our college students or, folks that may have freshly graduated from, undergraduate school or graduate school, maybe going through the same thing right now. What was that time like for you and what did it take? What was that moment where you were like, you know what, I'm gonna go full-fledged in my business?
Well, as a kid, I always was an entrepreneur. I always was selling things, starting out from selling Christmas cards. Always I sold pretzels, believe it or not. I was selling candy, the whole gamut. But
it always starts with candy. As a kid, yes.
But the turning point for me has always been, if you go back and look at my high school yearbook, it indicated that I always wanted to work for myself, wanted to move to Florida, start my own business. And I pretty much have achieved all those particular things. But it was at the point where I felt like people were stagnating me. They were putting me in a pigeonhole. Like, we want to let you do what you want to. We want to move you up when it's time that we feel you need to move up. And for me, I was like, nah, not this time. It happened in undergraduate. It wasn't going to happen in graduate. So I said, at this time, I didn't have any kids. It was only myself. I was living in my sister's basement. So I said, why not take the chance now? If I fail, guess what? I'm only hurting myself.
Yeah.
And I just took it and went for it. Didn't have any money. It's funny, the bike situations, because what happened was I didn't have a vehicle. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any insurance, but I had customers. So what I did, I established an account with a bank. I took the money, put it aside, and I told the bank, look, if this doesn't work, I'm going to have to pay these people back their money with interest so they won't hate me. It just turned out to work out in my favor. And I haven't looked back since. It's been a great blessing. It's been a great blessing.
Yeah, what can you say about, finding your purpose in that? Cuz I think it's definitely something to be acknowledged when, you think your path is going to be one way and then it diverts a little bit, and as a business owner, you definitely have to be, flexible when you have to pivot. So can you talk a little bit about like what that was like mentally for
Yeah.
you as a business owner?
Well, my favorite scripture is Proverbs 16:9. In a man heart he plans his course, but the Lord determines his step.
Yeah.
I live by that. I was going one way, and God felt like I needed to go in a different direction. Um, but at the same time, you had to believe in yourself so much that your friends and other people, when they start talking to you, and it's joking, but sometimes you're like, well, hold up, I need to make this happen. Like you went to college, you
Right.
driving a van, you didn't
Right.
have to do that. I'm making this, I'm doing that, and it plays with your inner psyche. But you have to be strong enough to understand that there's a bigger plan out there for you, and you have to stay your course. Um, for me personally, it was the determination. I was one of the ones that always went against the odds. Always was going against the odds. It didn't matter. I was going to be successful, or it wasn't no other option. There
Right.
was no other option at that point. It was just make these parents proud. And I've seen people have done more with less. And as time goes on, if you look at the future, the generation that's coming behind us have a whole lot more than we ever had. So I
Mhm.
feel like they should be able to do a little more than what we did.
Yes, especially with the resources and the internet and all the free information out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of different ways to make money without too much overhead for all the aspiring business owners out there. But moving right along, I want to hop into how you established this relationship, with Fulton Bank and became a part of the Business in Focus Spotlight series.
It's ironic with Fulton Bank because what happened was at the time I was unhappy with one of the major banks. I was speaking with my accountant, and my accountant was like, at the time, Fulton Bank was Columbia Bank. And at the time, they were like, okay, hey, look, you have this, you have a good, strong financial portfolio. We can give you a line of credit. And I'm like, huh? So I wound up going with them. They gave me a line of credit, and it was amazing what happens when you develop a great business relationship with a bank. So sometimes it's easy to do better with community banks than the larger banks. You don't have to go through a lot of paperwork. Of course, I wanted to deal with the local black bank at the time, and I felt like at the time when I needed the money, they put me through too many hoops, and I was going. It was easy, 250,000 going through there monthly at the time, and I couldn't get a $60,000 loan.
Wow.
So that tells you a lot. And then here you have Columbia Bank, which was a community bank, which told me, hey, look at your financials, just do this, and our relationship has been going strong ever since. Even
Wow. And how long has that been?
that's probably been close to nine. I would say nine. I've been in business since 1996. Columbia Bank and I established a relationship around 1998.
Wow. So
Fulton Bank. I'm sorry, Fulton Bank. It was Columbia Bank.
yes.
Now Fulton Bank. We established that relationship back in like 1998 at the time, and currently still held accounts with them. And to be honest, during this pandemic time, I had to turn to them, and they helped us out tremendously as well. The community bank didn't put us through as much as the larger banks was putting us through.
Wow, that's very good to know. And another, I think, really big important point for any aspiring business owners or those who may be on this Facebook Live who have their own business, and maybe looking to switch banks or are concerned about their current dealings at whatever bank they're at right now. I know I've heard business owners say that sometimes they have a concern with working with smaller banks because they might be more unstable or not as established, but this just goes to show you, a bank like Fulton Bank can really help you, support you, and you can establish a long-term relationship with them. So thank you for sharing
Absolutely.
that.
It's about relationships.
Yes.
It's about the relationship, the business bankers, getting out into the community, understanding the business, understanding small business and what their needs are. Of course, you're not going to satisfy everyone. Of course, man, we ran into some hurdles a couple times, but it's the perseverance that you have to keep going through to make things work.
Yes, absolutely. And this is a question here that we have on the screen so far. I figured we go ahead and take it so we don't, forget it or it goes off the screen.
Okay.
But hi, David Lawson. Thank you so much for joining this Facebook Live for our Business in Focus Spotlight series. His question to you, Alan, is what advice would you give to entrepreneurs who are looking for ways to expand their business or ideas?
Okay. I would tell you this. When I first got onto the University of Maryland Eastern Shore College campus, one of my professors said this: to be successful in life, you need to do three things. And I added a fourth thing. The first thing is to do it now, make it happen, whatever it takes. And the fourth thing that I added is by any means necessary. You can't let anyone steal your dreams. One issue that I believe a lot of entrepreneurs have is they listen to other people saying what you cannot do and what they cannot do. But as an entrepreneur, you have to understand that it's your dream and not their dream. So they don't see the ideas, they don't see how your head is turning. Now, sometimes we as entrepreneurs can go way out there, but at the end of the day, it's still our dream. And if it's your vision, you can't let anyone steal your vision. And take the steps to go through it. Like, at this point, I want to do this. At this point, I want to do this. At this point, I need to do this. Now, for me, when I first started, I remember people were asking me to hire people to fill out these applications, hire people to do this. My thing has always been, if I can read, I can fill it out. Because what's going to happen is they still going to take time to come to you to ask you questions on how you need to do or what you need to do. It's going to take time out of your schedule. So when I first started, when I was a one-man shop, I had it set up where I had deadlines set up for particular things I needed to accomplish. So by, let's just say December, I needed this application to be completed. By January, I needed this to be completed. Going back, it's no easy task, but I would say as an entrepreneur, do not let anyone steal your dream. It's your dream. We cannot live anyone's dream but your own dream. We get into trouble when we try to satisfy other people instead of satisfying ourselves.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And for you, would you suggest or do you have any advice, for anyone who is in business currently or looking to get into business, but they don't really have, that support system or any mentors or really any experts to look to? What would be your advice and your feedback for them and, kind of getting their feet wet and getting around the right people?
Well, I would say at the time you need to surround yourself around people that's in this almost in the same industry as you are. Now, a lot of times that gets tricky because they don't want you to surpass them. So you got to be careful on what you're telling them and how what information you're giving them. But the support mechanism is in your heart. You got to be the support mechanism. You got to be the one to say, okay, regardless, I'm going to make this happen. But typically, you need to surround yourself about people that's in that industry. I always use this as an example. If you like fish, go to the aquarium. You're going to find people that's interested in fish at the aquarium. Mm-hmm. If you like, and this is kind of funny, but it's not funny, landscaping. The best landscaping, if I'm in the landscaping right now, what I'm doing is I'm setting up an intern with the Ravens, Orioles, the local colleges, anyone that does grass to keep it, and I'm learning how they do that. And I'm taking that knowledge and building upon that. So you have to surround yourself about people that have the same interests that you have. And you can make a lot of things work. Entrepreneurship and business is anything that you want, anything that you can have. You just have to be willing to go through the mud to get to it.
Yeah. It takes discipline.
Big discipline.
Discipline. I know a lot of times, entrepreneurs or those looking to get into business will go to panels or even join, Facebook Lives like this, and they're looking for motivation when a lot of times what they need is discipline because motivation isn't always going to be there.
Yeah. I would say this. I mean to interrupt. I would say this. For me, it's not about the money. It's about the longevity and not having to go to work for someone. With that being said, I manage money for tailor-made transportation services. So I manage the funds for tailor-made. So with that being said, even from day one, Fulton Bank can tell you this, and any other banking institution that know me, and the payroll company that I deal with, Alan Taylor has always received a payroll check. So when my employees got paid, I got paid. The reason that I did that was because I didn't want to commingle funds. So I had a bank account for Alan Taylor and a bank account for tailor-made transportation services that I still run to this day. When it was time for me to purchase a home, this comes into play. In the bank and all of them get your information. The first thing they asked me was for my W-2s. And they said, by you being the owner, you don't have W-2s. I said, oh no, I do. He said, well, can you produce them? I'm like, here's my W-2. So Alan Taylor works for Tailor-Made Transportation Services. And they were so impressed with that because they said most owners say, well, the money is here doing this, but it's about what you just said, discipline. The discipline is how you manage the money and save it for a rainy day. I tell people, the money is not what you think it is. You're responsible when you're running your own business. You're responsible for your employees, their family, how they eat, how they shelter themselves, how they get back and forth to work. That's a lot of responsibility and a lot of discipline. So, I mean, when you do that, that's the key. That is the key.
Absolutely. And, you've been able to grow tailor-made transportation services to, more than 70 employees at this point. Am I right there?
You are. When the pandemic came, we dropped down to about 15 at this particular time. Our highest point we had was 70 employees when we were running. Look at this. And listen to this. We had contract with the Baltimore VA, Social Security Administration, Center for Medicare, Medicaid, the Soldier Home, and running a contract with the Department of Defense. Unheard of, and all ran successful. But of course, it was going through that 8A program, which allows you to prove that you can do what you need to do in that time frame. However, when you do that, you're supposed to be able to sustain yourself, which we are. I'm knocking on wood since we are. But sometimes when you're that large, you don't see a lot of the little things that's going on. However, when we went back down to the 15 employees that we currently have now, it gives us an opportunity to go back and streamline some of the things that we thought we was doing right. As a business owner, if you in the beginning, you're this close to your nucleus. But as you get bigger, you get further and further and further away from it, which indicates that someone else at this point again now needs to fulfill your dream, that you need to make sure they understand the direction that you're going toward.
Yeah, wow. That's interesting because, being a business owner, again, you have to pivot all of the time, and going from 70 employees to 15, and possibly a future in expanding the business above and beyond even the 70 from before. What would you say has been the most important thing that you've had to keep in mind as a business owner to get through the pandemic and the different downsizing and expanding that tailor-made transportation services has gone through?
Finding the right employees to buy into the plan. And not only as an employer, you need to buy into the employees' plan, what their plans are, what their goals are. Once we start understanding each other, then you build that relationship. The one thing that I tell a lot of individuals when I used to interview with them, the one thing that you could say to me that, and it's going to sound crazy, one thing that you could say to me that would make me turn and say, well, I might not want to deal with this individual was because they would say, I always wanted to work for a Black company. Now, here's my premise behind that. What are you going to do different with a Black company that you're going to deal with any other company? You want me to have more empathy and sympathy for you. And that has happened. This is factual. So when they say that, it's like, okay, it's nice to hear. It sounds nice, but you got to produce results. And if your track record, if I'm looking at your application and it's saying every 2 years you changing your job and why did you leave your job? And they say it's because of management or whatever. Is that sometimes you gotta look in the mirror and look at yourself, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, not saying that we turn a blind eye, but sometimes when you say that, it's kind of like, oh, like, wow, I understand that, I appreciate that, and I love that. But at the same time, what are you gonna do differently? What are you
Yeah.
gonna do
Wow.
differently? That's the thing.
Wow. I have a follow-up question for you to that I know probably some of our small business owners or those who are thinking about getting into business have probably had on their mind a time or two. But before that, if you are just now joining our live, we want to welcome you to the Business in Focus Spotlight Series with Urban One Baltimore, sponsored by Fulton Bank, a very, very proud sponsor of ours. And today we have Alan R. Taylor on the line. He is the president and CEO of Tailor Made Transportation Services right here in the Baltimore area. But what you said about finding the right employees, what are your thoughts on hiring and working with family and friends? I had to ask because that's like the easiest labor, right? When you are starting to
actually, it's not.
build it, but it's not.
It's not. I had actually, it's funny. I had my mom work for me. I had my cousin work for me. I had my brothers work for me. But you have to establish it in the beginning that this is a business. This is a business. The problem with working with family, it goes home with you. So sometimes they continue.
Yeah.
But establishing that you are you wearing the crown. Heavy's the head that wears the crown. Understanding that even with your family members, that they can mess your business up and go somewhere else and you still left to clean it up, it's a hard task. And if they're not focused, and believe it or not, you know your family members. You know which one's going to do what. You know which one's not going to do what. You know which one's going to carry. And sometimes I just said to tell some of them, this is just not for you. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. They know my makeup. I know their makeup. But for the most part, the ones that did work with me, we had an outstanding relationship. To this day, my brother, he still works for us. And he'll tell me, and he'll tell you this: at work, you in charge, but at home, I'm still your big brother. And my mom was the same way. God rest her soul. I had my aunt working for me. God rest her as well. And this how this went. My mom, the sacrifices that she had made for me to go to college, it's just unbelievable. But when I thought I was starting my business, she said, "Okay, I'm quitting my job. This is the true fact. I'm quitting my job. I'm working Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and your aunt will work on on Wednesdays and Fridays. Nothing to do about it." And actually turned out to be very well. And that's where that family atmosphere came in with the other employees. Good. Of course, your mom come in now, the family. And now when it's time to discipline somebody, your mother looking at you. This one is like, hey, I'm going to do what I have to do. And then you have to tell them. I had to tell a couple times, either this person going to go or you going to go. You take a choice. Both y'all going, but it can't affect the business because what one does, believe it or not, affects everyone. Yeah, everyone. It's not just you. It's everyone and how they eat. It's everyone and how they pay for their kids to go to school, pay for their car, their insurance, pay for how their lights come on. So I take that serious. Yeah. And the reason that I take that serious because if we, coming up in the city, how one check affects a lot of things. So
absolutely. Now, Tailor Made Transportation Services does a lot in the community. Can you talk a little bit about what you all have done in the past, what you're looking to do in the future, and how we, the community, can support you in supporting us?
Okay. Well, a lot of times what we do is when we have Thanksgiving, we make sure that all our employees have their food to make sure that I can't go home and eat understanding that they don't have that. So what we'll do, we'll take an ambulance and fill it up. We also partner up with a Bigger Sci-Fi Fraternity Incorporated. You know,
Yeah.
do that.
A
Yeah,
Q man.
yeah, oh, absolutely. So what we do is we help with them collecting glasses. We had this one initiative where they build bikes for individuals that have some mental illness, and we would take the bikes to them. We picked up. We did Miss Santa Q. We helped up with the Afro, taking bicycles down to them as well. We collect socks. We collect eyeglasses, men clothing. We do anything in conjunction with Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. We do a lot of social action projects. Radio One, we would love to do with you. And actually, we do deal with Larry Young and Larry Young with his Santa initiative. So we do a lot of stuff in the community. So believe it or not, when Kathy Hughes first started, well, not first started, when we first started in 1996, I used to listen to 1010 AM with the kids in the vehicle, and they used to get mad. At the time, they had a guy named C. Miles on there. They used to be on, this was before she bought what 95.9 and 92Q. Okay. And C. Miles and on that. And we used to all talk about business and community and pushing it. And I know Radio One continues to do that to this day, which is outstanding, because it's a lot of help that's needed. And it's a lot of people out there that want to help. It's just a matter of getting to making the two sides match. But with Omega, we try to make sure, Omega and Taylor Made, but we try to make sure it's first, we take care of home first, and then everyone else get the residual. And it's been a great partnership. It's been a great partnership. So if you have eyeglasses that you don't like or don't want anymore, you can bring them to us. If you have shoes you don't like, you can bring them to us. If you have old clothes that you don't like, you can bring them to us. Typically, like I said, around Thanksgiving time, we try to fill up an ambulance full of food to give out to communities. So we do a lot of great initiatives in the city.
Awesome, awesome. That's amazing. And before, we wrap up here, can you please let everyone know how they can find out more about Tailor Made Services Incorporated? What's those social media pages, website, phone number, WhatsApp, Telegram?
All right. I will tell you what, again, it's Tailor Made Transportation Services. We are located at 2901 Drew Park Drive, Suite 206, which is in Baltimore, Maryland, 21215. Our phone number is 410-383-1701. Social media, we don't have any currently, but we do have a website, and I'll tell you about the social media in a minute. Our website is www.tmtransportation.com, and you'll be able to get with us. With the social media, one of the reasons why I haven't done that particular aspect of it, it's a mindset for us. When it's harder to find you, you want to find us. So that means you're really looking to do business with us. Another aspect of it is we are in the downtown Baltimore area, running in and out all day. You see Tailor Made Transportation Services in and out. That is what's called free advertisement. And if you're doing what you're supposed to do, it works. You'll get people to call you. You get people to do everything to call you. Hey, we want to do business with you. We want to make a thing. Not saying that we're not missing out on business. We believe in quality over quantity. As a business owner, I know that I can't do everything, but when I do whatever I do, I want to do right and make sure we do a lot of repeat business. I can't brag on myself if we're not doing it. And that's why I say we cater to your specific transportation needs. Again, you tried the rest, you found the best. There's no need to go back once you find Tailor Made.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Taylor, and sharing with us your business journey with Tailor Made Services Incorporated, and just your expertise and insight for current business owners and aspiring business owners to really grow their own brands and their own companies. Again, we want to thank our entire Facebook Live family and audience for joining us tonight for this edition of the Business in Focus Spotlight Series with the Urban One Baltimore and Fulton Bank. We will meet you here again soon. So make sure you stay locked into 92q.com along with Magic 95.9. on the radio and online, and you can get all the details on how you can be a part of our next Business and Focus Spotlight series. We'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you.